What's up, guys? So, halfway done. That's where we're at. We're 3 weeks out, and we're 3 weeks home. So that's a really good sign. The good news is think of it this way: you're 21 days from being finished with this, which is awesome, right? So the big thing though that I did notice this week, and I really tried to harp on it. I know Matt did as well. Is staying focused this week. So a couple things that I noticed is for a lot of people, if they stayed really focused and really strict and continued to measure, continued to do other things, and continued to really take obstacles as opportunities to succeed, they tended to do really well this week. People who made excuses as to why they needed to do X, Y, and Z, even though it wasn't following the plan, didn't have as great of a week, and it correlated directly to the results. I know that I say this all the time, and you guys think that I might be redundant by it, but it's hilarious, like literally how many times I see this happen exactly the way that I tell you it's going to happen, and then it happens, and then you wonder why. Ultimately, trust us when we tell you the reason that weeks 3 and 4 are typically the hardest weeks of the challenge is because, again, the end is still like you're halfway done, right? So you're still halfway to go. So the monotony starts to come in. I stop measuring my food. I start changing my cheat meal. Oh, I'm going to do it on Friday, or I'm going to do it on Wednesday, or I'm going to do it. That's fine, but ultimately, you're not going to see optimal results if you do that. Or I'm going to eat this, even though it's not on the list. I'm going to do this anyway and expect to get optimal results, but I'm not following the optimal game plan. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's your body. You do with it as you please. That being said, if you're not following what we tell you to do, you're not going to get results. Period. End of story. So what I want to go into, though, and a lot of this is based on mindset, right? So the biggest reason that I think people struggle going into week 3, 4, and sometimes even into week 5 is you start to get that, I don't want to say victim mentality, but almost the I deserve this mentality. And ultimately, you get what you deserve, right? It's one of the oldest sayings in the books, right? You get what you deserve. Ultimately, as far as our system goes, you get what you put in. Period. End of story. If you're not following the optimal list, you're not getting your workouts in, you're changing your cheat meals, you're making small exceptions here and there, then you're not going to get as great a results, right? Now, you still might get okay results. I had one person in particular who admitted that they didn't follow exactly what they were supposed to. They messed up a couple of meals and just kind of fell off the wagon a couple of meals. But ultimately, their inches still went down. Now, and this person even acknowledged the fact that, well, if I would have been strict to the diet, imagine the results, because I did this well even without being super strict, right? So, and that's the thing that I don't want you to fall into, because a lot of times what happens is people will go, oh, well, I did okay, so I'm going to do that again next week, where I let it lax a little bit, right? So I'm not going to measure my stuff. Oh, I might have a cookie here, or I might add some more carbs here, or eat some food that I know I'm not supposed to here, because I got okay results last week. And while that's great for you, ultimately, you didn't sign up to get okay results, right? You signed up to get maximum results. And in order to do that, you really need to stay focused. This next week, I'm telling you, measure your meals, prep your meals, keep that prep time sacred. Nothing should come in between that. Period, end of story. That is the most essential part every week, is making sure your food is prepped, prepared, portioned, and ready to go, okay? I just can't tell you enough how much that prior planning really does prevent, as the old saying goes with all the P's, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And it's true. If the better you plan ahead of time, the better you sit down and say, okay, what obstacles am I going to face this week, the more successful you're going to be. The other thing that I wanted to get into too really quick was a mindset issue. So I was watching a Martin Rooney video. If you don't know who Martin Rooney is, he's the TFW guy, Training for Warriors guy. Very motivational, kind of the trainer's trainer, right? But I was watching one of his videos and trying to find some different tools to kind of fire not only myself up, but fire some things up during our workouts, because I really want to start taking that to the next level. And honestly, that's out of your guys' control at this point. It comes down to the trainers bringing it to the next level, and ultimately that's what I want to do. Anybody who's ever trained with me knows that it's one of my favorite things is to be in that room and get the energy up and the atmosphere and the amped up feeling. So I'm going to really start pushing that when I'm there. So be aware of that. But he talked about the difference between being a coach and a critic, right? So inside of everybody's head, you have a coach and you have a critic. Okay, and the coach is going to tell you, hey, you can do this. Don't cheat on that meal. Push that extra set. Push that extra second. I know it's hard, but you can do this. I know you have obstacles, but you can do this. And then the critic is saying, well, it's not that important if I make this little sacrifice here, or it's only a workout. Who cares if I quit 5 seconds early, or I'm already sweating really bad. I'm going to get the results of this workout anyway. I don't need to push that little bit extra. That's the critic in you. And ultimately, what it comes down to is, especially these next couple weeks, is the critic's voice is going to get louder and louder and louder in your head if you don't punch it in the mouth and tell it to shut the hell up, because there's a difference that you're trying to make with your body. And ultimately, that's the most important thing, is what you have to understand is that you have the ability to push yourself to a new level. You have the ability to make things more difficult, to make sure that you are doing the best you can, that you're preparing your meals, that you're going as hard as you can during your workouts, that you're not skipping workouts, that you're not skipping meals, that you're making every sacrifice necessary in order to do the best that you can for you, because you are worth that amount of time and preparation. Or you can find excuses, you can find reasons that you don't need to work as hard as you know you can, you don't need to prep as well as you know you should, you can take the easy way out if you're out to lunch with some friends or doing this and that and the other thing. You have the choice of whether you are going to listen to the coach or you're going to listen to the critic in your own head. And ultimately it comes down to you, and you're the one responsible for that. And the biggest thing that we preach during these challenges is it's not 6 weeks of challenge. It's a life-changing eating curriculum that we're putting you through. There is nothing about this that when you're 6 weeks done, that you're done and you're fine and now you're going to look that way and you're going to sustain those weight loss. And I'm already starting to get the messages, well, what do we do afterwards? I don't want to gain all the weight back. Don't worry, we will address that shortly. We don't want you to worry about after the 6 weeks right now. What we want you to worry about is giving us the best 6 weeks that you can, and I promise you this. If you give me the best 6 weeks, you will have phenomenal results. Don't worry about the following week. Don't worry about the following month. Don't worry about what's going to happen down the road. We will set you up for success, but the most important thing right now is this week, is this meal, is this next workout. You cannot look forward and take it half-assed right now because you're worried about what might happen down the road. You have to go all out, you have to sell out, and you have to tell that critic in your head to leave you alone because you have work to do. And ultimately, that's what I want for each and every one of you, is to truly commit this next week. This next week is going to be the hardest week for you. It is imperative that you get through it. This is the halfway point. This is when the monotony kicks in. Do not let anything get in your way. Work as hard as you can, and I will see you again in the next video.